Hello YouTubers, I am back from the airport. Unfortunately, most of the video had to be erased because the wind noise was just so horrific. Couldn't hear anything that was going on. Basically what has happened is I went out to adjust the carburetor because the carburetor has two jets in it. One of them is considered the idle jet, and it runs the engine up to about 1500 RPM. And when you shut down the engine with the mixture control, the engine is supposed to have a little bit of rise in RPM, which lets you know that the engine was running just a touch rich, so that you know it's right on the edge of where it's supposed to be. When I shut my engine down, it doesn't do that. It just shuts down, which means it's running a little bit too lean. It's something I was going to adjust, but I just never got around to it. But basically, because of that, it's possible that when you come in, you actually have the engine throttled back to about 1500 RPM. And because you're coming in and there's basically a lot of idle time while you're gliding down, it's possible the engine could actually quit on you. So it's not a really good thing to have happen because it makes you land a little bit shorter than you expected. And you don't have a lot of time to try and get the engine started back up and everything. So anyway, I have adjusted the little screw that you're going to see in the video. It's very difficult to get at, but we opened it up half a turn, and now the engine, when I shut it down, it kind of gives that little oomph at the end, which lets me know that it's adjusted correctly. The other thing we found was the carburetor heat control cable has started to rust, and it was actually rubbing a little bit on the oil sump of the engine. So we cleaned it up, spray painted it with some anti-rust stuff, and put a piece of rubber fuel line over top of it to keep it from rubbing. And we also sprayed a couple of springs that are kind of safety factors on holding the exhaust. And we also painted some of the control cables for the float rudders, which are supposed to be replaced next week when the turnbuckles finally come in. That'll be stainless steel, because the other turnbuckles are also showing signs of corrosion already, which I don't like. So as with everything else, we're changing things to step up and be a little bit better. But anyway, the wind is supposed to be really high for the next week. Hopefully, like it's supposed to be showing right now, about Tuesday the wind's going to drop, but it also shows lots of clouds and rain. So I don't know if we'll get up in the air or not, but the way the wind is today and the way it's predicted for the next week, it's just not advisable to take the plane up for its first flight in those kind of conditions. So here we are again, just kind of patiently waiting, and hopefully we'll get up soon. I just did this little video as an introduction. You can watch the others, a lot of wind noise, and you can kind of see what's going on. Anyway, that's where we are today. So take care. But it's this screw right there. And let's see if you can see it from this angle. It's this screw right up there. And so I didn't have the tools with me in order to change it or touch it. So we're going to try and do it today. I brought some extra tools. And in the meantime, playing around, looking over things and stuff, I found that my carburetor heat control cable is starting to have some rust issues here, and it's also rubbing a little bit on the oil sump of the engine. And so we're going to clean that up, paint it, and put a rubber coating on it, or a rubber fuel hose to keep it from rubbing. It's not good. This is the carburetor here, carburetor heat air box here, so it doesn't really get hot, so shouldn't have any problems there. I also noticed my little springs here, just as a safety mount on my exhaust, they're rusting, but only on the one side, which is the same thing I ran into on the hydraulic piston cylinders down here, where the piston rods were being more or less pitted by all the wind and the sand on the tarmac on one side and not the other. So anyway, we're going to kind of touch that up, and we're going to try and do the carburetor. And so I'm going to do that, clean up this little control cable here first, paint it and put the rubber on, and paint those little springs, and probably paint the cables back there that are showing some signs of rust that are due to be replaced this next week, but I'm just going to paint them now anyway. And we'll start the engine up, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Alright, it's windy as crap out here right now, and as you can tell, the cloud buildups are coming, so I'm in a little bit of a crunch for time, because eventually here's going to be a thunderstorm on top of me. So we'll see how much we get done. Okay. Okay, YouTubers, you can see how I painted the cable, and it's got a now nice little rubber fuel hose clamped around it. It's got clearance for everything, and I also painted the springs. They're just there, kind of residual, because the actual muffler support is way back there, but that's just in case. So anyway, now we're going to see if my instruments will fit on that screw, and then we'll fire the engine up and see if we can adjust this thing. Okay, YouTubers, just want to let you know it's rained on me once, and it took about 3 or 4 times, but I ended up opening up the screw 1/2 turn, and now the engine does do just a touch of a rise before it shuts down, which is what I wanted to do. So we're all adjusted now. Wind's going to be shitty for the next week, but hopefully I'll get my turnbuckles in and I can replace those rusting float rudder cables, and also replace my actual rudder cables, turnbuckles, that are also showing a little sonic corrosion that I don't like. So anyway, that's where we're at. Little things, but they're being fixed as we go. So hopefully we'll be off the ground before too long. Alright, take care.